Assalamualaikum, my name is NURUL binti AZHAR. Now let's get to know about IJM Corporation Bhd. IJM is known as a leading Malaysian corporation headquartered in Selangor, Malaysia. It is listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Bhd. The year of 1983 saw the birth of IJM from merging three medium-sized construction companies, which is IGB Construction Sdn Bhd, Jurutama Sdn Bhd, and Mudazaya Sdn Bhd. Its core business activities encompasses construction, property development, manufacturing and quarrying, infrastructure concessions, and plantations. There are three core values practiced in the company, which are integrity, teamwork, innovation, and customer focus. IJM Corporation Bhd has a vision which can be described in their intention to become a leading Malaysian corporation in the markets they are willing to serve. On the other hand, the corporation's main mission is to provide a consistent value to their stakeholders and enhance life with the IJM mark of excellence. Their strategy is to full productivity, enabling growth, enhance sustainability, regional expansion, new ventures, R&D innovation, enhance group branding. IJM's board member consists of 12 total board members. 7 of these members are non-executive directors, and among them there are 6 independent non-executive directors. The board is primarily responsible for the group's overall strategies, plans for business performance, overseeing the proper conduct of business, succession planning of key management, risk management, shareholders communication, internal control, management, information systems, and statutory matters.
Assalamualaikum, my name is SHARIFAH binti ISMAIL. So today I'll be presenting about the management approach. First thing we'll be discussing is about the factors that need to be considered of having a segment reporting. Operating segment is a component of an entity of which that engage in the business activities which it may earn revenues and incur expenses. And operating results are being reviewed by the entity's chief operating decision maker to allocate the resources to the segment and assess its performance, and for which the discrete financial information is available. So the IJM Corporation core activities are construction, property, plantation, industry, and infrastructure. The second factor is manager's responsibility. So in an operating segment, there is a manager who is directly accountable to and keeping up with the entity CODM that will be responsible for the firm's management and activities, including operating activities, financial reports and plans for the segment. So the examples of people that can become CODM in a company are the CEO, COO, the senior manager, as well as the board of directors. The third factor is the information presented to the board of directors. The discrete financial information is very important to the board of directors, as they will use the information available to assess whether the segments are relevant and to detect whether there are expenses and revenues incurred. For the types of segments, IJM Corporation provide both types of segments, including business segment and geographical segment. For the construction, IJM Corporation is able to deliver and maintain the quality of their services in a competitive building construction. Their constructions include civil engineering, bridges and highways, utilities, railways, and metro systems, and also building construction. For the industry, IJM Corporation is the largest piles manufacturer. The piles has been exported to more than 10 countries around the world. For example, like Maldives, Vietnam, Singapore, the Middle East country, USA, Canada, and many more. Okay, so for the infrastructure, IJM Corporation has built efficient and convenient toll highways. It covers a broad spectrum of project requirements, including the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of the tolls from start to finish. The second one is water treatment and power plant facilities. For the water treatment, IJM Corporation has 36% equity interest in the BINTI water treatment plant in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. And the last one is port on opportunity, which is Kuantan Port. The Kuantan Port has become a crucial multi-purpose port in the region. It has backing from the local government and close links with China. Okay, so we move on to property. IJM has emerged as one of the largest property developers in Malaysia, with sprawling townships, commercial buildings, and high-rise condominium throughout the country. So for the plantation, IJM Corporation involved in cultivating of oil palm, processing oil palm fresh fruit bunches into crude palm oil, and processing of palm kernel into crude palm kernel oil and expeller. Malaysia and Indonesia is the two world largest palm oil producing countries. The process from seed production and nursery to sales to the customer is conducted by IJM Corporation itself. Next, we move on to the Chief Operating Decision Maker. So the Chief Operating Decision Maker is the individual or function that is responsible for decisions about overall resource allocation and performance assessment for each business unit of an entity. So for IJM Corporations, the CODM is Tan Sri Tan Boon Sang, the non-executive chairman. CODM may be the CEO, COO, the senior management, as well as the board of directors of a company.
Assalamualaikum, my name is ADRIANA, and now I will proceed to the next part, which is segmental report. So how to identify the segmental report? If a particular product and services that is significant and constitute as an identifiable business, then the product and services can be reported as operating segment separately. So in the IJM Corporation Bhd, there are 6 operating segments available, which are the construction, property development, manufacturing and acquiring, the plantation, infrastructure, and last but not least will be investment and others. But however, not all these operating segments are said to be reportable. This is because the operating segments are only required to be reportable if they are exceed or equal to the quantitative threshold test. So in order for us to identify whether the segment is reportable or not, we have to conduct a test, which is 10% threshold test. There are 3 ways to calculate the 10% threshold test, which we can use either segment revenue, segment asset, and segment profit or loss. But however, for this company, IJM Corporation Bhd, we use segment revenue to calculate the 10% threshold test. The revenue test should be done by a total segment revenue, which include external and also internal revenue, divided by the total company's revenue. If the result is equal or exceed the 10%, then the segment can be reported in the financial statement separately in voluntary basis. As shown in the table and based on the computation, as you can see, the reportable segment are the construction, manufacturing, acquiring, property development, and also infrastructure. This is because their total revenue exceeds or more than the 10% threshold test. However, for the plantation and also investment and others, is considered as non-reportable. This is because they are not exceed the 10% of quantitative threshold test. So now I will be explaining about the next part, which is 75% threshold test. According to the previous 10% threshold test, we just identified and found out that there are 4 out of 6 operating segments which considered to be reportable segments. So from there, the 75% threshold test needs to be performed. In this test, it combines the external revenue from the reportable segment, which it must exceed the 75% of total external revenue from the company. If it does not achieve the 75%, then we must find additional segment until it meets the 75% of entity's total external revenue. So the total external revenue from the reportable segment amounting 6.701 billion divided by the company's total external revenue amounting 7.938 billion and times with 100%. So we get 84.41%, which means it is greater than 75%, and it can be disclosed in their report separately. Meanwhile, the plantation and also investment and others, which considered to be non-reportable, their information have to be combined and reported in the all other segment column together.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SHARIFAH MARSHA WAFA, BINTI ZEDREEN WAFA.
Lastly, I will explain about the conclusion.
Segmental reporting is used to disclose operating segments of a company that generates its own revenue. It is very transparent and serves the purpose of giving information to parties that use financial information such as investors, creditors, and few others regarding the financial activities company business, operating segments, product or services, geographic areas of the business, and the company's major customer. However, segment reporting has its own advantage and disadvantages. Firstly, we will look to the advantages. The first advantage is respect decentralized business. IJM Corporation Bhd has multiple segments or sectors that are decentralized. In a corporation that has many sectors, there are usually a person or a group of people that heads the sector. By segment reporting, the financial analyst is looking at the sector and the sector heads. That way, a financial analyst does not praise or criticize a company itself, but can remark on the leadership of the sector's president or sector company's leader. The next advantage is transparency. The segmental reporting is transparent. It discloses which operating segments or countries that produce revenues or suffer losses, and even which segments are not performing well enough. Therefore, analysts, potential investors, and other stockholders would need complete information to estimate sustainability and growth of the company and to monitor the performance of its management and to make decisions. The last advantage is give accurate evaluation. Segment reporting helps investors see the full picture of a company. It helps stakeholders to give accurate evaluation towards IJM Corporation Bhd. In IJM Corporation Bhd, there are construction segment, property development segment, manufacturing and acquiring segment, plantation and infrastructure segment, and other few segments. One segment might yield higher revenue than other segments. With segmental reporting, stakeholder parties can put forth their own judgment and evaluation and allow them to assess accurately the performance of IJM Corporation Bhd. Next, we'll move on to the disadvantages of segmental reporting. The first disadvantage is data manipulation. When preparing segmental reporting, the numbers and information can be manipulated. This is to make the report or the performance of the business look good. This way, stakeholders will have false assumption to the company. The next disadvantage is emphasis on the present. When drawing up segmental report, IJM Corporation Bhd might focus on a short-term numbers. For example, when there is losses of a segment, These losses might be ignored or disregarded by IJM Corporation Bhd's overall performance. These losses might not strike attention of the managers. Even so, concluding those numbers as a data point through segmental reporting, it calls to reduce the losses to raise short-term earnings. Lastly, possibilities of allocation problem. Since IJM Corporation Bhd has more than one segment to be dealt with, there are going to be common costs surrounding this segment, mostly general administrative costs or legal expenses. To allocate these costs when segmenting the report may be complicated and hard.
So next we will move on to the next part, which is interim reporting. So for the basis preparation for IJM Corporation Bhd, their interim financial reporting is unaudited and has been prepared accordance with the MFRS 134, which is interim financial reporting, and also include with the paragraph 9.22 listing requirements of Bursa Malaysia Market Securities Bhd. The interim financial report should be read in the conjunction with the audited financial statements of the group for the year ended 31st March 2020. The explanatory notes attached to the interim report, which provide an explanation about the events and also transaction, which give the significant understanding about the changes of the financial position and performance of the group since the financial year ended 31st March 2020.
The interim report used by IJM Corporation Bhd is quarterly report. Since the financial statement ends as at 31st March 2020, the first quarter is from April 2019 until June 2019, and the second quarter is from July 2019 until September 2019, and the third quarter is from October 2019 until December 2019, and lastly for the fourth quarter is from January 2020 until March 2020. This statement includes statements of financial position, statements of comprehensive income, statements of changes in equity, and cash flow statement. Next is accounting policy that is used in preparing the interim report. The first policy is under MFRS 140, investment property, which means investment property is property that can be land or a building or part of a building or both land and building that is held by the owner or by the lessee under finance lease to earn or for capital appreciation or both, rather than for use in the production or supply of goods or services or for administrative purpose or sale in the ordinary course of business. The next policy used is under MFRS 123, borrowing costs, which mean borrowing costs are interest and other costs that an entity incurs in connection with the borrowings of funds. A qualifying asset is an asset that necessarily takes a substantial period of time to get ready for its intended use or sale.
So, in accordance with MFRS 134, the financial statements are prepared, followed by the interim report dates. In accordance with the reported dates and relevant comparison of the company IJM Corporation, the period presented by the entity is the same for the concise and complete financial statement. It means that the company made a comparison with the previous year financial report, which is the last quarterly report. So the last quarterly report started from the 1st of January 2020 until 31st March 2020. So for statement of financial position, the comparative period will be the previous year end reporting date, which is 31st March 2019. For statement of profit and or loss and other comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flow, the comparison period will be in 3 months, which is from the 1st of January 2019 until 31st March 2019.
We are required to propose 2 adjustments to be made by the company. For the first adjustment, on 25th November 2019, third quarter 2020, the company entered a sales and purchase agreement to buy an office with the amount of 2,500,000. The purchase was later completed on 3rd March 2020, which is the fourth quarter 2020. Here we have prepared a consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st March 2020, which is a fourth quarter extract. Since this transaction occurred from 25th November 2019 until 3rd March 2020, this concludes that the adjustment had taken place during the fourth quarter ending at 31st March 2020. Inside the tabular form, we have included the necessary account for the transaction, which is trade and other payables, before and after adjustments. The amount before is RM747,744K, and after the adjustment is 750,244K. The liabilities of IJM Corporation Bhd increases due to the agreement and the amount had totaled up in the current quarter. Here is the original statement of financial position. As you can see, trade and other payable was less before the adjustment had taken place. For the second purpose adjustment, on fourth quarter of 2020, IJM found out that some of the company's items amounted to RM138648K that are sold on 16th October 2019, third quarter 2020, were not recorded in the inventory. Here is the original statement of comprehensive income and the extracted statement of profit.